these feelings of playing older titles lately. And I was faced with this thought. Why is it that when I get frustrated, sad, confused, I'm always like, let me go play Mario. Let me go play Zelda. Let me go play Donkey Kong. Is it because I played these games as a kid? Is it because they're better? And, we hear this all the time when it comes to video games in general, that video games were just better back then. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to be a part of that vernacular, because I don't know if I feel like video games were better back then. I think that video games as a whole are or have been changing over the past few years, for sure. But I can't definitively say that gaming was necessarily better. I think life was very different back then. I mean, I was in my, early teens to late teens when I was playing some of these games. I know that life was simpler. Some people say that nostalgia is a really interesting thing, because it's not necessarily the most accurate representation of a feeling that you have. You're nostalgic for a certain idea. You're nostalgic for a certain game. I know that I've made a video saying nostalgia isn't real, and it's on this concept of, like, for instance, I love the game Ocarina of Time. You go back and play Ocarina of Time, and you're like, why does this feel so special? For me, it feels tremendous. It feels incredible. But you play that game and you're like, was gaming easier? There were certainly absolutely no responsibilities to the same extent of what I have now. I have 2 children. I have a wife. I have a career I'm trying to make happen. I have bills to pay. I have all of these things, relationships to manage. Back in the day, I could completely lock myself in my room and play video games for hours on end, and no one would be the wiser. My parents wouldn't care. I certainly didn't have friends that would get mad at me for doing so. In fact, they'd come over. There was no planning that had to take place. And so for me to be able to sit down and do that was completely fine. Now I'm lucky. I'm lucky if I get uninterrupted gaming. It just doesn't happen. It certainly doesn't happen, because I have children and a wife and a business and all these different things that I'm trying to balance at the same time. I mean, part of the reason why the Deck Daddy life is the Deck Daddy life, shout out to all Deck Daddies out there. I see you, Lego. Is, and just so you guys know, this is a cup that's being recorded live on stream over on twitch.tv/JDXCoffee. So if you're watching this, just know that this was recorded live. And I will interact with chat sometimes during these cups, because I want to give them a little bit of stuff too. But here's the deal. When it comes to sitting down and playing games, I recently got to experience that feeling all over again. I was playing through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I was playing for hours on end. I think my record was 8 hours. I hit an 8-hour stream, which is kind of crazy to me. So I played that game. I was having fun. It was awesome. And I was hit with this reality that playing games for uninterrupted long amounts of time is just not realistic for me as, a father of 2 kids. But also, the games that are available for me to play, there are some games out there that 8 hours, that's like 3/4 of the game. I mean, you can play just about any Call of Duty campaign in about 8 to 10 hours, I think. I'm not super familiar with that. But those games, I mean, you can play Ratchet and Clank in about 15 to 20 hours. These games have gotten shorter. Now, do I think that shorter games are bad? Heck no. I think, as, again, someone who has very limited amount of time, shorter games are more respectful to my time. But what I am understanding more as I get older is I get tired, I get stressed, I get frustrated, and I'm like, I just want to sit and relax. And there is a comfort. There is a comfort that exists when you are playing games and it's something that you're familiar with. Recently, I just restarted A Link to the Past, a game I've probably played 4, maybe 5 times in my life. Certainly not my favorite Zelda entry. My favorite Zelda entry is Link's Awakening, partially because the story is phenomenal. Another reason why I like that game is because I grew up playing that game a ton on the Game Boy. It was my first ever Zelda entry. And so Link's Awakening is a special game for me. But with A Link to the Past, there's the artwork that for me is spectacular. I have a book over here, the Super Nintendo, what's it called? The Super Famicom, a visual compendium. And some of the pictures in there are just remarkable, reminding me of this time in gaming that was so special. And so I grab my Super Nintendo controller and I play an older title and I think to myself, why is this so special? Why is this so exciting? But most of all, why is this so moving? And when I was thinking about it more, I'm like, I think at first I'm like, well, because it's Zelda and Zelda is just the best ever. You know, I got my Master Sword right here, dude. Watch out. I'll get you, dude. Bargo with this. I'll get you. I got my little Master Sword. Okay. I think to myself, is it the fact that Zelda is the most magical? No, it's not, dude. I was playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That game is incredible. That game is phenomenal. No, it's not because of that. What it is it's a familiarity. Not only just a familiarity, it's an old friend. It is an experience that once was, but still is. And I think that this in gaming is the thing that a lot of us are trying to run to. It's kind of like with the Star Wars movies. I feel like the Star Wars movies kind of have fallen off, right? And they haven't fallen off for any sort of political reason. I'm not going to go down that road. If you want to go down that road, we can go down that road over text messages. If you have my number, if you don't have my number, you don't know me. What the reason why I feel like Star Wars as a whole has fallen off is because there was a special formula that existed. There was a special kind of story beat pace that existed. You look at something like A New Hope. You look at something like Return of the Jedi. Even some of the, newer stuff like, Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith, Clone Wars. You have this, or Attack of the Clones. You have this pace, this cadence, this campy but epic, this legendary but silly feeling that exists. And it's the warm hug from a friend. It's the, I see you, I know you, let's continue down this road. And as gaming has progressed, I feel like there has been an element, it's generational, right? I'm 36 years old. Shout out to the 36-year-olds out there. I was born in 1989, dude. I'm a 90s kid. I'm an early 2000s kid. There's an element of, we are the demographic for a long time, but younger generations, I've seen them. There's some creators that are on YouTube. Shout out to Josie Woe, someone who I think is a cool creator. There are creators on YouTube that look at games that I find to be like completely legendary. I'm going to use one. I'm going to throw her under the bus a little bit. Josie Woe, a Nintendo content creator, younger, she is not a fan of Ocarina of Time. She doesn't like it. She doesn't think it's a good game, or rather, she doesn't enjoy the game. I'm not going to go as far as say she doesn't think it's a good game. I don't know if she thinks it's a good game or bad game. She just doesn't enjoy the game. Part of the reason why she doesn't enjoy the game is the lack of modern day additives that they put in games. Way markers, quest locations, continued storylines and story beats that are guided, right? These aren't bad additions. I'm not going to sit here and say that quest line, objective locations is bad. I do not think so. I enjoyed Tears of the Kingdom. I certainly enjoyed Breath of the Wild. It's fine. Look, freaking Final Fantasy VII Rebirth holds your hand. Now, it's like Tifa's holding your hand, and that's not a bad thing, but it holds your hand the whole freaking time. There is no discovery in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And I'm going to sit here and tell you I loved that game. Final Fantasy 16, same thing, dude. It's just like Jill is holding your hand the whole time and you're just going, it's not a hand you want to let go of. It's totally cool. I'm not going to sit here and dog it. But there was an element of gaming and mechanics that existed back in the 90s, early 2000s that were ones that we grew up with. There were ones that were so nice and they felt good and they felt awesome. And I find myself as I get, again, once you get into those weird spots, I don't know if it's an ADHD thing or if it's just a human thing, but once you find yourself in this weird, bizarre, emotional state where you're like, I'm either emotionally hijacked, I'm upset, angry, frustrated, lonely, or it's the opposite, I'm happy, nostalgic, whatever, you find yourself going down to the root where the true you is. And this is what I found to be special. The special thing isn't that games were better. I don't think they were better. The special things is that they were great. They still are great. And they remind us of a greatness that we attached ourselves to back when we were either children, teenagers, or young adults. That greatness was a splendor, an innocence, but I think an actual feeling of involvement with a story that we were completely transported by, or it took us to a special place. I think that looking to nostalgic experiences to remember feelings is a beautiful thing. We see someone wrote something pretty powerful, Lego 91. I'm assuming 91 being their year, which means shout out to the freaking youngsters out there. And by youngsters, I mean 34-year-olds. A lot of games today have a lot of focus and are hyper-focused on battle passes and pumping out unfinished products and updating them over time. Older games were complete and didn't feel like a cash grab, like a lot of the newer games being released. It absolutely does feel that way at times. I don't want to sit here and point fingers saying modern games suck, but I hate to admit it because it feels like I'm either a broken record or I'm flip-flopping, which who cares, right? Hello, it's me. My name's JD Coffee. I like coffee, and I flip-flop around like I'm freaking rainbow sandals at the beach. Here's the deal. It's not that modern games are bad. Modern games are probably great. It's that I don't like modern games as much as I thought I would. It's as simple as that. Now, there are modern games that are enjoyable, but I'm going to tell you right now that I get more, I get more, well, that's not the best. I was going to say Spielkiss. Spielkiss is kind of this feeling, the gut-wrenching feeling you get when you're nervous. Spielkiss and your Genickgezoint. There's a little bit of Yiddish for you if you're ready for it. I get a little bit of butterflies. I get butterflies in my stomach, dude, when I'm playing games like... Oh gosh, no, I gotta skip this song. I get butterflies in my stomach when I'm playing games like Donkey Kong, a re-release for the 17th time. I get butterflies in my stomach when I'm going back and I'm playing 8-bit games like Eastward, which is a newer game, but still it's hearkening to a game, an incredible game, which I've never played and I just started, Earthbound. These kind of stories, there's a special something that Chrono Trigger from the late Toriyama, like these kind of stories and these special experiences are something that it's almost impossible to define the feeling. And I don't think though, and I want it to be said, I don't think it's because they're better. I can't definitively say that these games are better because it's purely objective. As I said, as I was mentioning, another creator, Josie, she is not a fan of this style of game, and it's because generationally there's a different interest, which is totally cool and actually pretty rad, to be honest. But the thing that I find myself running to is something that some might say, just grow up and get into the next thing. Just freaking let go and whatever. Just enjoy what you want. It's okay to like modern games. And I think that's off base. I don't think that there is a really modern game like focus that needs to exist. As I said, I played Final Fantasy 16 and I thought that was a masterpiece. I played Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and I thought that was a masterpiece. Black Myth Wukong, masterpiece. Indiana Jones, masterpiece. All of these games, masterpiece. But I would equate it to going to the movie theater, going and watching Wolverine and Deadpool, or whatever. Is it Wolverine versus Deadpool? Whatever it may be. And leaving with a smile from ear to ear going, oh my gosh, what a spectacular experience. That was hysterical. That was funny. Same thing. That was emotional at times. They killed it. That movie was great. And then coming home and being like, hey, buddy, you want to sit down and watch Star Wars for the 175th time? That's the feeling. That's the thing. That's the excitement. And so I sit here and I go, well, what would happen if I was, a movie critic? And they're just like, hey, so you're a movie critic and you have a couple options here. You have a couple options. You can either A, go to Wolverine, Deadpool, Oppenheimer, Barbie, and enjoy or watch these movies, whatever you want to, and be a movie critic. Or from time to time see them, but you get to be a historian. You get to go and deep dive Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Deep dive Dead Poet Society. Deep dive Saving Private Ryan. Deep dive movies like Airplane and talk and learn about these. Which would you decide? Some would flee, run to the opportunity of watching Joker and understanding the brain behind Joker, Oppenheimer, whatever. But I realize that there is a type of feeling that comes with some of these nostalgic experiences. And to some, it might be momentary departures from reality where they're like, I'm going to go and remember. But for myself, for others out there, maybe, if you're one of those, let me see it. Nostalgia isn't a moment, but rather can be a continuous feeling that is experienced over and over and over again. Not just in what was, but chasing what is through the lens of what has been. Like, this is the crazy thing. Like, you can actually have nostalgic experiences with new experiences while actually maintaining this feeling of like, whoa, this feels like it did back in the day. I remember seeing a comment or hearing a post about someone saying, dude, playing through a game like Sea of Stars was a nostalgic experience because it reminded me of Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG, and it was just this beautiful thing. And Sea of Stars came out a few years ago. Like, that's a new game. Well, it's an older style game, but that's the thing. And I think over the years, I've realized that in a space where most of my conversations are around like this and this space here, like playing video games, talking about video games, there's a feeling that exists that some of us chase, but I think I found it. There are multiple ways to play video games or multiple ways to experience video games, but there are a few ways that I've chose to define for better articulation, not for confinement, but for articulation of what the feeling is. There is someone called, which I don't know if this is a phrase that exists, it's one that I came up with in my own brain, but it could already exist. It is lifestyle gamer. What is a lifestyle gamer? It's someone who plays video games and allows it to be weaved into a lifestyle that they already have. There is the hobbyist who plays video games as a hobby. They try everything. They want to do the whole thing. There is the pastimer, someone who's like, well, I got a few hours to kill, so I'm just going to, play a little bit of video games. They may play once a week. They may play once a month. They may play once every, 4 days. It's just like, I got time to kill, so let's play some video game. I think those two are the most common. And then there's the lifestyle gamer. And that's someone who goes, okay, gaming for me is something that is special. I'm going to try to weave it into the lifestyle that I have so that it's something that I can participate in for my whole life, whatever it may be. I find that to be the best way to define it. I don't think that I'm trying to put myself in this box or anything. Comment section can go wild with that, but I feel like lifestyle, right? And then there's genres, right? There's different genres. Some people are like, I like Souls-like. Other people are like, I like everything. Some people are like, I like first-person shooters or just Call of Duty. You guys know how I feel about Nintendo. I feel like Nintendo is a genre in and of itself, but there is a type. There is a genre that I don't know if it's defined yes or no, but it is nostalgic. A nostalgic gamer. A gamer who looks to those experiences that once were. Nostalgic gamers could be someone who's just chasing Halo 3 vibes, and that's why they play games. They're just chasing Halo 3 vibes. That could be it. I mean, there was a game recently that someone's like, it just feels like this and this. And I'm like, that's the feeling. Why is it that we look to the past for the experience of the future? Why is it? I think it's because there was something magical and we're trying to hold on to it. Remakes and remasters are all coming out all the time, and there's a reason. It's because there was something special. That's not to say what is coming out now can't be special, but what it is saying is, there's definitely something there, which is they had something. And so for me, I find myself looking at gaming, this landscape of gaming, and I've been experiencing new, old, whatever, everything in between, and I realized just over the recent time that nostalgic gaming is a spectacular feeling, that gaming lifestyle, that lifestyle gamer is a very, very practical way to approach gaming. That's why I think that people who have Switches, Steam Decks, ROG Ally X's, these are lifestyle gamers, right? People who have taken gaming going like, my lifestyle is so crazy, I need to figure out how to weave in this gaming thing into my lifestyle, rather than taking gaming and let it completely take over your life. These things right here are just these special feelings. And I think that as a whole, I find myself being pulled and drawn to games that allow me to not only experience them in portable fashion, because portability is king as a dad, but also to be reminded of what once was. Because what once was can still exist today through new experiences. That's not to say that, as I said, all modern day games are bad, but good, critically acclaimed games, I find myself guiltily saying I don't enjoy. Someone's like, hey, you should, I was talking with my buddy, tempted to play Elden Ring. I just don't enjoy the experience as much. I'd rather play Super Mario World for the 375th time than play Elden Ring, a critically acclaimed masterful game. This game is amazing. Didn't it win Game of the Year? Wasn't it Game of the Year like 2 years ago? I don't. Oh no, it was up against It Takes Two or something, and it Takes Two. I don't know, something along those lines. There is just something about it that is as definable as I tried to make it, but as indefinable or indescribable as I'm probably leaving it. And so for you guys, my question comes out to you: what games have you played recently that have given you that feeling? Or what games do you run back to frequently to gain that feeling? This is such a powerful feeling, and I love it so much. And I hope to share it with most of you guys over on twitch.tv/JDXCoffee. Someone in chat right now said something that says, do you think there's a space for a nostalgic gamer in streaming from a perspective of making it a career? And the question is valid. The answer is this: if there is, great. And if there isn't, I'll make the space for it. Because I think nostalgia, nostalgic gaming, and playing games of old are awesome. And I think there are people out there that want to be a part of something special. Because it isn't the game that defines the moment. The experience is what defines the moment. Mario is not defining nostalgia for me. Platformers aren't the end all. Zelda and adventure-based games aren't the reason why I feel this way. There's a memory attached to it. There is a feeling attached to it. There's a history behind it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, Souls-like games are the best games, because I don't believe that. Just as much as I think that platformers aren't the best games. I like platformers. The real thing is there is a special moment that happens when you play a game that speaks to you, that grants you access to a splendor and joy that was once experienced. I don't think there's anything wrong with chasing that feeling, and I am not going to sit here and say that feeling can't be had again. It can, because I have it often. I have it. I giggle, I laugh, playing games like Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, because it reminds me of the time when I used to play Kirby's Adventure on the freaking Game Boy with my dad. And Kirby and the Forgotten Lands grants me that feeling again. Kirby is not the same as Zelda. It's not the same as Metroid. It's not the same as Donkey Kong. It is something special. Everyone here has a game that they find to be special, whether it's Halo and LAN parties like Lego, whether it's people playing older titles, newer titles, whatever it may be. Someone playing, Skyrim for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 hours. Witcher 3 for the same. There are those games. And it's amazing. And I'll finish with this. Moff says, whether games are good or bad today isn't the point. They were finished when we bought them in the past. And I feel like that ending, that feeling of when you get something and you're like, I have it right here. Not only do I have it right here, but there's not going to be updates. It is this game, and it is this game from start to finish. And I don't have to worry about updates or battle passes or any sort of nefarious things or $100 games. Although back then there were games that were $100. This is the special feeling. This is what I chase. And this is something that I get reminded of all the time. Not just the chromatic, but all the time when I fall off of that feeling, that dragon, that absolute special feeling, and I chase what I see that is popular. What is popular should be decided by what you love. That is what's popular, right? I know that's a crazy thing to think about, and I was a nerd growing up, and so people are like, popularity doesn't matter. Popularity does matter. Being a part of something does matter. The cool thing about being a gamer in your 30s in 2025 is there is something for everyone. And not just something, but someone. There are people out there. Just as I thought playing Mario games wasn't going to get me excited through my 30s, here's the deal. Let me know in the comments. Do you like Mario games? Boom. I found some people. All right. You guys are awesome. Thank you for listening to the speech over on twitch.tv/JDXCoffee. Speech, talk, whatever you want it to be. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off, and then I'm going to continue the stream and play some games. Today's a link to the past. You guys are awesome. Play more. Be kind. Be awesome. Cheers to you.